then being 13, going into the upstairs, getting the gun with the thought that I was going to kill my entire family. When I was coming down, I didn't take the safety off the gun, so it actually jammed, and that's what stopped the murderous intent. I was born in Jamaica. My nan was a Baptist Christian, so I would go to church with her infrequently. We lived in an area where it was very commonplace to hear gunshots and see dead bodies. Growing up, my mother was in an abusive relationship with my siblings' father. I remember being around 8 and watching them have a physical fight with stones, knives, etc., during which my mum lost one of her fingers. Though I wasn't a Christian then, I remember after that fight vividly praying and asking God to take us out of that situation. When I was around 9, we started traveling to America, which wasn't without its challenges in terms of like staying on people's floors and etc. But this was the route my mum was taking to get out of the cycle of domestic abuse. There was lots of instability. My younger sister and my cousin, who's also younger than me, we stayed in America primarily, but my mother and my younger brother would travel between America and Jamaica. My mum would pay someone to stay with us, but that person wouldn't. We were mostly left on our own. So I, as the oldest, had to run the household. To get us to school, to feed us, you name it. I was maybe around 12. When I was 13, I met a boy, as you do. And, you know, we did what girls and boys shouldn't do. And because of this, he was a lot older than me, I should say that as well. So in effect, I was groomed. Because of this, my mother decided that she didn't want to get him arrested for my benefit, but that I needed to return to Jamaica indefinitely. So she sent her younger sister to come and like book my tickets, get me ready, and to send me home. That sister was living in America at the time. So my aunt and I, we had a disagreement during this period where she thought that I was trying to run away because I didn't want to go home, but I had made the choice that I was going home. So she hit me. In America, we have the right to bear arms. So in most households, we have weapons. And I remember then being 13, going into the upstairs, getting the gun with the thought that I was going to kill my entire family. When I was coming down, I didn't take the safety off the gun, so it actually jammed, and that's what stopped the murderous intent. I think as a young person, I was quite dark. So in America, you had people like the young people that killed a lot of their friends in the school, and those were the people I idolized. The people who were gothic, I thought I was a vampire. You know, I wanted to go and find other vampires. I actively wanted to drink blood. I was quite dark. So I would say that as well. Nonetheless, I didn't kill my aunt that day, and I went home to Jamaica, where my mum beat me so severely that I couldn't walk for weeks. Yeah. She was calling me all sorts of names, and it just helped me to continue feeling unloved, unwanted, unvalued, unhappy, and just searching for something. My life was a bit of a contradiction because in school everything was perfect. I had really good grades. I was always in like the top sets of my class, but outside of school I was extremely unhappy. I would smoke weed, I would drink all the alcohol, and I was promiscuous. I also had a porn addiction from a really young age. Shortly after returning to Jamaica, my mum and I attempted to go to America, and en route we were incarcerated for drug offenses. I went to juvie, my younger siblings went to foster care, my mum went to federal prison for around 3 years. Juvenile detention center is like a children's prison. Yeah. So whilst I was in the children's prison, I was given the opportunity that if a family member could come and collect me, that they would release me into their care. But I had no family member who visited me or come to collect me. So because of this, I was turned over to the boys and girls home, and then they had no room, so I was then deported to Jamaica, and my visa was revoked from America. Sorry. In Jamaica, I went to live with one of my uncles for a while until my siblings were sent back to Jamaica from foster care and sent to their dad, who was quite abusive. Because I knew he was abusive, I went to go and live with them so I could look after my younger siblings. I had to sleep with a knife under my bed because he would threaten me as well. Because he wasn't looking after the children, he was abusing them physically, physically he was abusing them. And he wouldn't give, like, my sister lunch money for school and stuff like that. So my uncle was still giving me lunch money for school, and I would then give that to my sister and then go without food, which meant that I developed stomach ulcers because I wasn't eating. I started dating a lot of older men. I didn't sleep with them because in my mind, if I didn't sleep with them, I wasn't prostituting myself. But I needed money to look after my siblings, and that was the only thing that I could do at the time because I was only maybe 13, 14. Sorry. I knew I was going to cry.
Take your time, don't worry, we're listening.
Okay. You can see it now. Yeah. So I'd use that money to pay bills, to buy food, and to generally just look after my siblings. I did have a boyfriend in Jamaica, a boyfriend that I was actively engaging in relations with, but I still also continued to communicate with the boy in America. I was still searching for peace and for happiness. I didn't know what that looked like. I always felt different from everyone and felt misunderstood. When I was around 16, I took my Shahada, which means it's kind of like a baptism for Muslims. So I think I resonated with the 5 pillars of Islam about like charitable works and peace and love and all the things. So yeah, I took my Shahada to become a Muslim, a Sunni Muslim. I met a friend who was Muslim. I met his wife, I met his kids. We talked about like my aspirations to just get to 18 so I could go back to America and marry this boy. But he took a liking to me and he wanted me to be his second wife. But I wasn't interested in being his second wife. I thought we were just friends. He would take me to the mosque and so forth. In Jamaica, you have like carpooling taxis where loads of random people will get into the taxi and it will drive to different places. So one evening after school, this is when I was around 16, he and I took the same taxi. And when I realized that the taxi wasn't going the normal route, it was just him and I left in the taxi. And so he said, oh, just follow me to my friend's house to give them something. And when we got to the house, it was just him and another guy. And I kind of knew straight away that I had made I already knew something was off, but I didn't know what else to do. So he raped me then. And I think it left me really, really broken. It left me not trusting anyone. It left me feeling much more dirty than I felt before. It increased the feeling of being unloved, unwanted, not worthy, will never be someone's wife. My mum was released from prison sometime after that. I never told anyone about it. I just kept it to myself and just went around as if everything was completely normal. When my mum was released, she was in Jamaica for only a short time, and then she came to the UK because again she was trying to still escape from my stepdad. But once she left, he continued to abuse my siblings to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, I tried to find someone that would kill him. I dated a police officer and I said, okay, like, you're older than me, you can have me if you want, if you kill him. But the police officer was actually a Christian, and he said, I'll pay for you to go to school, like Saturday school and extra lessons, but I wouldn't kill someone. So I said, I don't want this relationship because this is not what I want. Eventually I went to like the proper police, to report his abuse, and they said that my mom had to return from the UK to look after the kids. And at that time, my boyfriend in Jamaica that I was dating, we got pregnant. So again, I was still 16. And I told my mom, and she said, if you don't get an abortion, I'll kill you. So I remember talking to one of my friends, and she arranged for me to go to this like dodgy doctor. He was a natural doctor, but and I had an abortion just by myself, and went home. I had a brother who lived in the UK, and that's when I was around 17. He bought me a ticket, and my mum forced me to come to the UK. I didn't want to come to the UK because academically I was doing really well, and I had a family friend who was a teacher who would set up an internship at a law firm. Once I finished my studies, I could go straight into that. So I didn't really want to come to the UK, but my mom figured that it would be better opportunities. So she forced me to come. When I got here, I was 17, so I couldn't go to school because you finish school here at 16, but I never finished school in Jamaica because you finish school there at 18. So I came here and then had no qualifications. I had no papers, so I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. So I went back to dating older men, and I started dating Raheem's dad, who was about 19 years older than me. When I met him, I asked all the relevant questions. Do you have a partner? Do you have children? And he said no to everything. And later, about maybe a year or two into our relationship, I got a call from his wife. Yeah. Yeah. So he told me when I met him that he was living with his sister and his nieces and nephew when they were actually his wife and his children. Because I had a really low self-worth, when I know someone doesn't want me, I want them more, because it's like, why am I never good enough? So initially, I left him because I never intended to intervene in anyone's marriage. But he came, he did all the sweet talking, and I took him back. And after that, we had Raheem, and while I was pregnant, he then was cheating on me. So he was just cheating on everyone. Well, and I tried to leave him while I was pregnant because I figured if he's not around, Raheem won't know to ask for him once he's older. But then he said to me, if I leave him, that he would never look after my child. So I felt very forced to stay in a situation where I was very unhappy for years, but I didn't want not having my dad in my life. I didn't want the same for my son. So I stayed and tried to bear the pain. 2 weeks before Raheem was born, my mum was removed from this country for overstaying her visa. So I then had to move to Northampton, where my younger siblings were living with my mum at the time, to look after them. She left them officially in the care of a family friend, someone outwardly that we thought was just so loving, so kind, just on paper, just brilliant, but in fact was abusing my younger brother and kicked my sister out when she was 16. I wasn't working, so I was still dependent on Raheem's dad for financial support. I also started, well, that wasn't when I started selling drugs, but at some point, I had to do what I had to do so that I can pay rent and just look after myself and my new baby, have a baby strapped to me going out to make calls wasn't easy. But I did what I had to do because we only had each other. I would ask this lady to give me my brother so I could keep him, because I had a feeling that something was happening. And I would ask him, but he would always say no, which is very common for people who are being abused. They don't feel like they can speak up. I would have to give her money, even though she was getting money from social services for him as well. So I would have to buy all his school uniform. And she's an accountant, so she had money. And she knew I wasn't working and, in dire straits, but I still ensured that I provided as much as I could for him and for my sister as well, who was living with me. When my sister became 16, she got her national insurance number and she started working. But as a young person, her mind was on partying and just doing whatever young people do. So she wasn't really helping me. And we started a very toxic cycle of arguing, fighting, to the point where I actually called immigration on her, thinking they would remove her, but God had his way. And that didn't happen. When Raheem was just born, my sister brought her then best friend, whose family are Christians, and her dad was actually a pastor, to meet Raheem and introduced me to the family. And then we started going to church with them, and they were just lovely. They would have us over for food. They really encouraged us, and it made me view my mom being removed from the UK in a different way. Like God had to separate us from her so that we would have to seek him, because before that, yes, we had hard times, but I feel like there was a level of comfort where we didn't have a relationship with God. We knew about church and all the things. So I started going to church even though I was still dating Raheem's dad. And I got baptized, but I was still living very worldly. I was doing all the things. I was still going out to the clubs and doing everything. I would remember praying to God and saying, please, I just need my status and a job so that at least I'm not dependent on a man for money. I didn't want that to be my life. And God grant me that. I was able to get my status and I got a job. And then my nan died. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, I think she died, and I just decided that I needed to go on this discovery of self, where I broke it off with Raheem's dad. I left church and I started dating a girl in London. And then really quickly after we started dating, I actually moved up to London, me and Raheem, to live with her. She was very emotionally abusive to me. She was also emotionally abusive to Raheem, which I didn't know at the time. Raheem was, you guys see Taylor, she's quite a happy kid. Raheem used to be quite a happy kid. I know it's going to help someone. Yeah. So Raheem was a really happy kid. Raheem loved church. He had just such a joy. When we moved there, everything changed. He went into himself. His personality changed. I think he started feeling like how I felt as a child, unloved, a burden, and just all the things that she was feeding into him when I wasn't there, when I was at work, and I didn't know. I think she also resented him a little bit because she was used to taking drugs and drinking, and I didn't take drugs. So I said, I don't want that around my kid. So I think because when I'm not at work and when I'm at work, and he's there, she can't do all the things because obviously she's meant to be minding a child. So I think there was that sort of issue. Her and I got into an argument one night because she wouldn't allow Raheem to eat before he went to bed because he was messing about as children do. And she hit me, so we had a physical fight and the police were called and I was arrested. And so I had to leave Raheem. That was the first time Raheem was really seeing police up close and personal. But I had to leave Raheem with her because I didn't really have a choice. And they took me to the police station. But the police officers saw from her behavior that she was the actual aggressor. But because she was the one bleeding, I was the one who got arrested. I was let off pretty easily. I don't even remember if I received a caution or not. But it wasn't a good experience nonetheless. Like, I don't want to be leaving my child to be getting arrested. I got out the following day and I decided to move in with a friend who was living in Croydon at the time in this house that was in disrepair. There was no hot water, there was no heating. We were in one room. Raheem and I were on a single bed. My friend and her kid was on a double bed in the same room. There was exposed wires and everything, to the point where Raheem got electrocuted trying to heat something up in the microwave. After that, I was able to travel to Jamaica so that Raheem could meet my mom and my dad. And then when I came back, I lost my job. Sorry, you have to laugh because it's funny. Yeah, so I lost my job and I was just going to and fro, trying to find a job. And then I found something in Sainsbury's in Streatham. And then the landlord for this disrepair property that we were in sold the house. So then we had to move. Raheem was already commuting to school by himself because I worked in Chiswick, and we were initially living in Crystal Palace with that girl, and then we moved obviously to Croydon. So he was commuting from Croydon to Crystal Palace for school when he was around 10 by himself, and I was commuting to Crystal Palace to Chiswick, sorry. When the landlord sold this house in Croydon, we then moved in with another friend in Woolwich, because though I was trying to find my own place, there wasn't many people who wanted to rent to a single mom and a child. So it was incredibly difficult. So I moved in with my friend, and we were there for much longer than I expected. Have I covered everything that we? Yeah.
You did a great job. Honestly. Yeah.
Than I expected to be there. This is someone that I had known for like 10, I don't know, before Raheem was born. But something in our relationship changed. I don't know what it was. Because on paper, she had everything that I didn't have. She had her own place. She had a really good job. She's beautiful. She just had everything that I didn't have. So I don't know what happened, but our relationship changed, and there was just a lot of tension in the house. I did miss something out. After I left that girl, I started dating another girl before moving to Woolwich, and I was with that girl for around 3 years, but her family were racist, and she was in the closet. So with both of the girls that I dated, we almost got married. Like with the first one, we even went to the registry office. We signed the papers and everything, but thanking God that we didn't get that far. So living in Woolwich, I decided to end the relationship with this girl that I was seeing, who lived in Crawley, where we went to do Impact Team. Yes. So thankfully I didn't see her. Yeah, so when I tried to end the relationship, she actually proposed and wanted us to continue, but I was just kind of done. I had met Taylor's dad when I was working. See, I didn't miss out stuff.
You know, because the notes are up and down. Sorry. Forgive me.
The timelines will be a bit skewed, but while I was working in Sainsbury's, I got a second job in their online department. So I was now commuting from Woolwich to Streatham to get there for 4 a.m. to do the online shopping, and then go to my second job after that. So I wasn't really seeing Raheem at all. And I remember again praying to God and just saying, I really want a job where I'm at least not working weekends, so I can spend some time with my kid instead of just texting him saying, have you washed or whatever. He's essentially looking after himself. And God gave me a job in Mitcham as an admin in a care agency. So then I started commuting from Woolwich to Mitcham, and that's where I met Taylor's dad. We became friends, and he kind of just helped me to navigate our manager at the time, who's Nigerian and very forceful. So I didn't know how to deal with it, and he was a real he was a real help to me. So I was always honest with Taylor's dad. I told him all of my history because I think I'm someone who self-sabotages, and so I'll show you all my bad, and you can have the choice of staying or going. And I never felt judged by him. He just kind of went, yeah, okay. I ended the relationship with the girl, and I started dating Taylor's dad. And I had said to him from the start, I want to go back to church. Like, I want someone who's going to go to church with me. I didn't quite explain it in the right context. I think when I said I want someone to go to church with me, I didn't mean physically be in the building with me, but I don't think I explained that. I always had the desire to go back to church, but I always said to myself, oh, I will wait until I'm married. I will wait until my life is better. I will wait until I have a good job. Just all the excuses about not allowing God to fix it and fix it on my own and then go home. But obviously God had other plans. So I was dating Taylor's dad. COVID happened, and the tension in the flat with my friend just became unbearable. And so I remember praying again and just saying to God, like, I need to find somewhere. Like, my boy is not happy, and I can't stay here in an environment that is just sucking his soul. And I would just walk every day. I would be searching for properties and finding nothing. Eventually we found like a studio flat in Streatham, and we moved in the midst of COVID. And then shortly after that, Taylor's dad and I decided that we were going to move in together. I wanted to get married and do everything the right way this time around, because obviously I'd not done the correct steps. But living together, it didn't really happen that way. And we got pregnant, and I miscarried. And then we got pregnant again with Taylor. And then once I had Taylor, I felt an overwhelming urge that I needed to go back to church. It was just thoughts like, Taylor's innocent. If she dies or I die, she's going to hell, and I can't let her go to hell. I knew that there were demons in the house, because I would turn the light off on the light and I could see like the shadow in the shape of a girl. And so after having Taylor, I just didn't sleep. Raheem was having sleep paralysis. So every night at 3 a.m. he'd be awake. He didn't want to go to sleep. And I just knew that the house wasn't covered, because one, I'm living in sin, I don't have a husband, and also Taylor's dad is Muslim. So please pray for his conviction. So I decided that I was going to go back to church. I would watch Potter's House Northampton online, because my cousin goes to Potter's House Northampton. And then I started looking around online if there's any like Potter's House close to where I was. And there was a Potter's House Streatham, Pastor Gabriel. And we started going there. For me, I always made the decision that once I go back to church, that I want to do it the right way. I don't want to do what I did before. I want to be dedicated. I want to be consistent, and I want to really seek God first. So I really had a period where I prayed, questioned, did all the things about what to do with my relationship with Taylor's dad. We had other issues as well, but during part to wanting to walk right, I decided to end the relationship even though we were still living together. And loads of things happened. So my dad died, my brother died, my mum almost died, but God kept us. He kept us. I really thought it would be so much worse when my brother died, but it was also the time where I had to really acknowledge that I was struggling emotionally. I was struggling with my mental health. That was, I think, for me, it's very easy to be strong for someone else, but it's very difficult to confront the fact that I'm not as strong as I think I am. So I did everything. I stayed in the UK. I planned his funeral back home. I'm the family liaison, so I did everything. I liaised with my mom's doctors to try and get her the surgery and do everything, but I always leave myself for last, so I neglect myself. So I started getting counseling, but I refused medication. I took 1 month off work and then I went back. But I was still going to church. I was still praying. I was still trusting. And the one thing that I was thankful for, I didn't question God even when my brother died. I just kept praying and say, please don't let my heart even question why he died, because he died quite young. In the midst of all that, we were served an eviction notice where the landlord increased our rent to more than 50% during the time I was on maternity leave. Because I had already decided to end the relationship with Raheem's dad, I knew that I wanted to move separately. So once we got the eviction notice, I went to the council for help. And once we were evicted, the council moved us here to Kingston, which I'm very thankful for. But I was still commuting back to Potter's House, Streatham, because for me, I'm socially awkward. I'm quite an anxious person, and I find it really difficult to engage with people. Once I know you, I'm a chatterbox, but before that, I find it really difficult to just start relationships like that. So I was going to where I was comfortable because I had already known them. But I was really, really struggling with the commute. I can't even get the stupid. Thank you. Oh dear. So Pastor Gabriel actually is the one who told me about Kingston, Potter's House, Kingston, and suggested I check it out because it's so close to where I'm currently living. One of the first times I came was actually the baptism service, I think, where Fabian and a few others were getting baptized. And I remember saying to myself then, if a baptism service is called again, I'm going to get rebaptized, because before that I'd been feeling like it's something that I wanted to do, but knowing that it wasn't necessarily necessary. But for me, it just felt like it was renewing my covenant with God and showing outwardly like I'm actually wanting to make a proper go of it, not like how I was before, but I want to do what the Bible says: seek God's face first before everything else. So, God made it possible. Another baptism service was called, and in January of this year, I was baptized. One of the things that I prayed about earnestly after leaving the relationship in Crystal Palace was to repair me and Raheem's damaged relationship, and for Raheem to return like the prodigal son to church. And since being here, and since he's been under the discipleship of the men of Christ, I've seen such a change. I've seen God moving.
I've seen his faithfulness to our prayers. I've seen that he has our best intentions at heart. In July of this year, I got signed off work with mental distress. I just had a lot going on, the commute, just loads, my health, and stuff like that. But I see in so many ways where God orchestrated what was going to happen. The year before, making sure that my CEO at work changed our sick leave policy so that instead of only getting paid full pay for 3 months, we get paid 6 months. So even though I've been off work, I've been getting paid, so that is not an added stressor. And it's given me the time to try and press in deeper to God. When I first came to Potter's House Kingston, I met Rochelle, and one of the things that I said to her was, I've been seeking to be filled with the evidence of speaking in tongues, and she prayed for me outside. And during this season, which feels like a very heavy and difficult season, yes, my mental health deteriorated. Yes, my physical health deteriorated, but I was filled with the Holy Ghost, with the evidence of speaking in tongues. So I think I say all this just to say it doesn't really matter what your past is, because God is not looking at the past, he's looking at the future. He's looking at what he has in store for you. And even if you're broken, you're still chosen.
Last question. If anyone is watching and they're going through similar themes that you've been through, what would you say to them?
That it doesn't matter if you feel that you are worthy or not, because the Bible says that even when we were yet sinners, God sent his son to die for us. He doesn't care about your worth. He cares about the fact that he loves you, that you are his child. It's like when you have your own children, it doesn't really matter what they do. They could be an axe murderer, but they're your children. You love them. You're going to figure it out with them. You're going to be at the trials with them. So I would say, don't try to get everything perfect to come to church. Just come. Just to say that if there's anyone struggling with same-sex desires, and feel like they can't come to God because of that, one thing that I would encourage them to say is that it's not that the coming to God, or they're coming to church and then they're wondering why the desires haven't gone away. I would just say to them, it's not that the desires go away, but you die to yourself daily. So it's a daily sacrifice. And also, when you're being celibate and you're not even being with yourself, I'm really sorry to be inappropriate, it also helps, because then your mind is not focused on lustful things. So that's lustful things with anyone, no matter what their sex or gender is. So my encouragement is to be celibate, one, and to remember to forgive yourself, to remember, like, it's a daily sacrifice, it's a daily walk, it's a daily cross that you have to bear. It doesn't just go away. For some people it does, it just goes away and you get on with it. But I'm even encouraged by Jackie, I think her name is Jackie Perry. She was a stud, very, very, very butch gay. And God touched her, and she is married with children. And she said her husband is the only man she's ever felt an attraction to. And when you see her, she still kind of exude that kind of
masculine energy, but I think she tries to really soften it, and you can see that her walk, she puts God first. So that's the only other thing I would add, is just seek God first, be celibate, and know that it is a cross that you have to carry, and you have to deny yourself daily. So if you're struggling with the desires, stop trying to get rid of the desires and saying, oh, why can't I get rid of these? Just know that you can desire to have a alcoholic drink, but it doesn't mean that you will have it. Just because you feel like, oh yeah, today I will have a drink, doesn't mean you're going to do it. And it's no different from like an alcoholic. One of the things like they say to alcoholic is that you shouldn't drink again, because obviously it puts you on a very slippery slope. And it's not like the cravings for alcohol is no longer there, but they put themselves in situations where they're not really around people or those drinking, and they make a conscious effort. Like, even if I'm at a bar, I'm not going to order alcohol, I'm going to order water or juice. So struggling with LGBT and identity crisis is a conscious thought to say, I'm going to deny myself daily, and then God will bring about the change that is needed.